So today we finish up Romans chapter 7, and we bite off a huge piece, and there are just sermon after sermon have been written here. Let me try to see if I can condense this down to 3 minutes. Paul says, basically, you know what? There are two natures warring within me. It even says they're waging war in verse 23. He says they're waging war against each other. There's a nature that says, I want to do good. I delight in God's law. Then there's a nature that says, I just am a slave to sin. And it's what you and I have when we become believers. We have the old nature that still wants to sin. We have the new nature that wants to please God. And so we find ourselves disappointed in ourselves, like the Apostle Paul says. And we say, I just want to do this. And we don't do it. Or then we say, I don't want to do that. And we end up doing it. And so here's my point for you today. Is that as you struggle with sin, realize that you're not the first or last one to struggle with sin in your life. There are things that come along that are going to always trip us up. There are things that come along that are going to get in our way. There are things that come along that we're going to stumble at and we're going to disappoint ourselves and look back and get discouraged. But that shouldn't be the case. Realize this, that we're going to struggle, we're going to stumble, and as we do, God stands there going, come on, get back up, I'll help you. And God says, let me help you where that doesn't happen again. And as you get back up, and you maybe stumble a few times, you get back up, you look back over your life, you look back 5 years later and go, I used to do that. And you find yourself growing. Now, I will say this, let me give you the bad news. As you grow, and as different sins are not an issue for you anymore, new ones crop up, new things you crop up, you go, I thought I was growing. Yeah, you are. But realize that we live in sinful flesh. We are going to disappoint ourselves and God. When you do, don't give up, don't get discouraged. Go to God, humbly to Him. He forgives you, then restores your relationship, and then says, now let's have a little teaching about what happens if we keep that from happening again. That's the loving God that we serve. That's the deliverance that Paul talks about in verse 25. Restoration of our relationship with God. Want to read the whole devotional? Go to the link at the bottom of the page. We'll see you tomorrow.